Hi there, brothers and sisters. So I want to share something with you. Something that the Lord's been working with me on, and it was a great little nugget, and so I want to share it with you guys. So, in every relationship that we have, there are going to be gaps in what we expect from a person versus what actually happens. And this gap is going to happen in every relationship. It doesn't matter if it's a spouse, a child, a parent, a friend, a coworker. There's always going to be a gap in the expectation of what we think is going to happen with a certain situation and actually what that person's behavior is. So this kind of comes down to the principle of trust. And what trust does is it looks for the most generous explanation for the person's behavior. So, when we allow people to have grace, when we give grace to people within that gap, then we allow people to make mistakes. We allow people to fall short. We allow people to basically be who they are at this point. I know for me personally, there's a lot of times I've put expectations on people. I've expected someone to meet a standard, and I think, well, you're my husband, you should act this way, or you're my daughter, you should act this way. And then when they don't act that way, or they don't behave that way, then I would get disappointed in the fact of, well, you let me down because you didn't do it this way, or you didn't do it that way. But that's what the Lord's been showing me, is that my expectations and their behavior have been creating a gap. So what the Lord's showing me is that I choose what goes in the gap. So, and the gap happens because of the different behaviors between the person that you're having a conversation with, or the person that you're in a relationship with, and also the experiences of both people. So, for instance, a lot of my past, I've had a lot of rejection. Ever since I was a child, I've had rejection. I never felt like I fit in to anything, and people constantly shoved me aside. So that's one of the things that when that gap happens, I feel rejected in that gap, like not part of whatever the situation is, or not heard, or not understood, or pushed aside. And so that's something that the Lord has had to work with me on, to help me see that the rejection, He's explained to me, is part of the process that I have to go through to get where He is trying to guide me. And the rejection actually helps to push that through. And that's probably a whole nother video that I could go into with that. But what the Lord has been showing me is that I need to choose what goes into the gap. I need to choose how I'm going to respond when somebody doesn't meet my expectation. So when we choose to assume the worst in a person, and we can even back that up, then we are choosing to contribute something negative into the relationship, and eventually the relationship will become demised because of how we view it. So we're contributing to the death of our relationship by putting expectations on a person that they cannot meet. So, and when we choose to say, well, you let me down with this, or you let me down with that, you didn't meet my expectations. You didn't load the dishwasher like I thought you should load it, or you didn't cut the grass like I thought you should, or, when those people were talking about me, you didn't step in and say, hey, you shouldn't talk about my friend like that, or you shouldn't talk about my spouse like that. There's expectations that we put on people, or we expect them to do, and if depending on their past and what they've been through and what their experiences are, because those experiences shape us. That's what we will put into relationships, is what we've become until we're a new creation in Christ. Those experiences and everything that happened in the past will add to what's going to happen in that gap. And I hope I'm making sense with all this. So we need to choose to put something positive into that gap instead of looking at it in a negative light when someone lets us down. And just to kind of give you an example, say you have a spouse that maybe they tend to be a little bit controlling at times. And so maybe your friend or someone says, hey, I kind of think sometimes that your spouse is a little bit controlling and maybe tries to tell you what to do too much. Instead of being like, yeah, like, you're right, she's always trying to tell me what to do. She's always trying to manipulate me or control me. What the response might be is something like, she's not controlling. She's just really passionate about this. She's really passionate about this situation. So it kind of takes something and it looks for the positive in the situation instead of looking for the negative, because the negative is actually going to pull down that relationship. It's going to upset you and make you feel like you're not meeting my standards. You're not meeting my expectations. And when honestly, the only person that is going to be able to meet your expectations is going to be the Lord. He's the only one that can meet the expectations. So like, if you expect somebody to be perfect in how they interact with you and how they respond to you, if you expect somebody to never let you down, if you expect somebody to constantly be there for you when you need help or you need assistance, that's not going to happen in another person. It's not. Like, it doesn't matter if it's your spouse, your parents, your best friend. That person's going to let you down at some point or other. You're going to feel like you've been let down. Like, they didn't come through at this point, or they didn't do what you needed them to do, what you thought they would do. You're supposed to be my friend. I got a flat tire and I call you in the middle of the night and you tell me that you're too tired to come out. You didn't come and help me, That's the difference between I expected you to get your shoes on and come and get me, and your behavior is you told me you were tired, you had to get up from work in an hour and you weren't going to come. So I had to call a tow truck. What we put in that gap is important because it will drive that relationship. And I'm not talking about relationships that you shouldn't be in. I'm talking about relationships that matter. Like the relationships that the Lord has put in your life to help you. Your spouse, your children, your parents. Like, the reason why the Lord put us in families is so we could learn. We could learn how to communicate. We could learn to put somebody else before ourselves. We could learn not to be selfish. But through the process of all this, sometimes there's a difference between what we expect out of them and what we get out of them. So changing how we view things, changing how we look at things can really help us. So when we look at the gap and what we expect and what we receive from them, if we can look at it with more of a positive outlook and give that person grace to make mistakes, we're going to allow them to make mistakes, but by giving them that grace, we're also going to help draw them to our Lord and who He is, because the Lord is really good at giving us grace. I don't know how many times I've made mistakes and I've done things that I, shouldn't have, and I've disappointed the Lord, but the Lord has always given me grace. He says, my grace is sufficient. So he will come and he'll extend that grace and that mercy to us to make mistakes. And so I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like, we need to look for reasons and ways to extend that grace to other people, to extend mercy to someone else when they fall short from what we expect from them. And when we do that, it's going to change the way that we look at our relationship with a person. You know, I know that this is what the Lord wants to see in his children, us extending grace to each other, us giving each other room to make mistakes and not calling each other out on our mistakes as we're growing and learning. Perfect example, like I had come across an issue with my husband yesterday, and he did not act in the way that I assumed and expected him to act. He was completely upset, and he was in a, he behaved in a way that I didn't expect him to behave. And through all of that, it really kind of caught me off guard because I didn't expect it. So he stated his case and I stated my case, and he got really upset. Now, he doesn't know the Lord and he doesn't walk with the Lord, so he doesn't have the Lord to help him with the stress level like I do. So after we said what we had to say, we kind of separated, and I started doing some things around the house, and then the Lord was ministering to me and showing me what he wanted me to do. And my husband was extremely upset with me, and it wasn't even it actually wasn't even anything that had to do with me. It was a totally opposite. It was a different situation, but the enemy was throwing the responsibility on me, and my husband was upset because I wasn't taking that responsibility. But it wasn't mine to take. It was something that my husband should be taking. It was a responsibility that he needed to own up to. So because I didn't do what he wanted, he was upset with me. But at the same point, I knew that I needed to give him grace to make this mistake. So the Lord was ministering to me on being patient with my husband, giving him room to act the way he did, giving him time to think about what he did, and letting the Lord begin to convict my husband of the behavior that he had done. So in the meantime, I still continue to do the things that I always do. Like my husband gets up really early in the morning to go to work, and so I always put his stuff out and get all of his stuff ready for him to take off and go to work in the morning, and get his coffee ready and everything, so he can just get up, put it, hit the coffee pot, it turns on, he can go downstairs, grab all of his stuff, and head out and get in his truck and take off. So the old Susan probably, the old Susan would not have done any of that. She would have been extremely upset. She would have been mad at him after he said those horrible things and he did those horrible things. I would not have put his stuff together for him. I would have made him get his own coffee. I would have made him do all that. But praise God, he's done a lot of work in me, and now I give my husband grace to make mistakes. And then if I get hurt in those, then I go to the Lord and I get my comfort from the Lord. The Lord builds me back up, and then I can go and be an example to my husband to help him see Christ in me. So I did what I was supposed to do. I did all the things that I normally do for him at night before he's already went to sleep. I do everything, set everything up for him. He left early this morning to go to work, and I never said anything to him, and I just took it all to the Lord, gave it to the Lord. And today, my husband sent me a message, and he actually apologized for what he did. And what I said to myself in the gap when I expected him to behave a certain way, and I got this out of him, what I put in the gap was, he doesn't know the Lord. So if he doesn't know the Lord, he doesn't have that comfort that I have when something doesn't quite go the way that I expected it to go. I can go to the Lord and I can say, Lord, I don't understand this. Like, this is really frustrating. However, I'm going to give this to you, and I know that you're going to help me through this. I know that eventually you're going to show me why this happened, or you're going to show me what to do and how to maneuver this or how to move forward with this. He doesn't have that. So in the gap, instead of saying, you're the biggest dumb jerk ever, why would you do this? Why would you say that to me? Instead of acting that way in the gap, I said to myself, he doesn't know the Lord. So he's going to act out of his flesh. He's going to say things out of his flesh. And because I handled things the way that I did, the Lord was able to minister to him, because I didn't go and do evil for evil. I did good for evil. I didn't allow what he did to me to change the way I was going to interact with him, because the Lord doesn't want me to go and repay him with the same way that he paid me. The Lord wants to draw him by my gentleness and by my nature, that when I'm acting and walking in the Spirit. So by doing that, the Lord defended me. The Lord avenged me. And the Lord went to my husband, and the Lord ministered to him and convicted him during the day today. And then he sent me a message and told me that he was sorry, that I didn't deserve what he gave to me yesterday, which is what I'm thinking the whole time. I didn't deserve this. Like it was hard for me to swallow, but the Lord allowed this to happen to show me different things about myself, and to show me where I had improved in my walk, where I was still had some sore spots to work out or rough spots to work out, and then also to extend grace to my husband when he can't meet those expectations. So it was really eye-opening, and it really helped me today, because I meditated on this all day long. I meditated on the things that the Lord showed me, and the Lord began to unfold why he allowed this to come up against me, why he allowed it to happen. And he actually helped me to understand my husband better, and why he does the things he does, why he acts the way he does, and says the things he says. So me being able to put something positive in the gap kept me from getting upset with him. And therefore, the Lord was able to minister to him today, and he was able to turn around and tell me that he realized his behavior was not appropriate, and he wanted to acknowledge that and change it. Now, had I flown off the handle at him saying, you're a big dumb jerk, and I can't believe you said that to me, and I can't believe you did that to me, and then it probably wouldn't have ended the way that it did. We probably would have went back and forth, but putting something positive in the gap helped me to be able to extend the grace to him that he needed to make the mistake. And when he apologized to me, which he normally doesn't do, so I know the Lord's working in him, but when he extended his apology to me, my response to him was, thank you, and I appreciate you saying that to me. I didn't follow it up with, you really upset me, and I can't believe you said that to me, and I can't believe you did that to me, and, because it wouldn't have went as smooth. He probably would have gotten more upset with me, and then I probably would have got more upset with him for getting upset with me, and it would have been a vicious cycle. So I just wanted to share that with you today, because things aren't easy. Everyone is in the fire. Everyone's going through spiritual growth. Everyone is in spiritual battles, and not a lot of people want to get on YouTube and talk about their personal lives and talk about the issues and the problems that they have and the things the Lord's teaching them, and to be transparent and be candid with things. But I honestly, when somebody does open themselves up and becomes transparent and shows what they're experiencing, what they're going through, it helps me, because then I see, wow, like, I'm not the only person that's struggling with this, or I'm not the only person that's going through this. So I want to be able to do that to help other people too. Like when the Lord shows me something, I want to be able to help somebody else learn and grow from what I've experienced, so maybe they don't have to go through it like I did. So I just wanted to share that with you guys today. So I pray that that blesses you, and so, you know, if somebody lets you down, somebody doesn't quite meet your expectations, fill in the gap with something positive and give them grace. Give them the same grace that you would want them to give you if it was you that made that mistake. God bless you guys.